This
3rd,
conference will now be recorded.
for June 3rd. Can we have a moment of silence first and foremost for Black Lives Matter and everything that's going on in the world, and the Pledge of Allegiance after that? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible. I'm going to say what I always say. If you have your phone on and your computer on, please mute your computer so we don't have any interruptions, because it'll put an echo into our meeting. And that's about it. Can we have roll call, Madam Secretary?
Valerie Scott Cooper,
Here.
Hakeem Jones,
Here.
Sonia Sanders,
Here.
Heather Lewis,
Here.
Thomas LaPera,
Here.
Rebecca Smith,
Here.
Derek Perry.
Here. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of last meeting?
Salute. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Today we had an executive session in regards to litigation. Councilwoman Smith, do we have any announcements?
In a slight divergence from my please stay home over and over and over again, Norristown will be moving from the red phase to the yellow phase on June 5th. Just a couple considerations for what's required. Telework must continue where feasible. Businesses with in-person operations must follow business and building safety orders. Childcare can open when they comply with the CDC guidance, state guidance. Schools will remain closed for in-person instruction, and congregate care and prison restrictions will remain in place. The stay-at-home order will be lifted in order for aggressive mitigation. Large gatherings of more than 25 will be prohibited. In-person retail is allowable, but curbside delivery is preferable. Indoor recreation, care services such as gyms, spas, hair salons, nail salons, and other entities, and all entertainment will remain closed. Restaurants and bars are limited to carry-out, delivery, and outdoor dining. You can see the state and county websites for more details about the yellow phase guidance.
Okay. Any other announcements, Council? Councilman Jones.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Also, like President Perry said, I just wanted to send condolences to George Floyd and his family, who was murdered by law enforcement. Wanted to give kudos to our team on council, our administration, chief of police, and our public works, everybody across the board. We've had a really challenging, stressful, trying week. Our sheriff's department, we kind of all came together as a municipality. We gave our residents the opportunity to protest, to speak, and we did it in good fashion. So I've been just proud to be a part of Norristown and see things around the region. We're definitely leading by example.
Any other announcements? And thank you for that, Councilman Jones. Definitely, I definitely piggyback on that, on those comments. Mr. Jones or Kevin, do we have? I'm sorry, or Ms. Secretary, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do. The first one's kind of long, and the second one's really long. So you want me to read both of them?
Sure, please.
The second one's like 9 paragraphs.
Okay. Well, that's all right.
Okay,
you have to tell everybody. No problem.
Okay, the first one. I would like to ask some questions about the drug issues going on around the schools around Markley Street, the thefts, the cleaning issues with Public Works, street cleaners not using their trucks right, along with Mascaro's inability to run trash correctly. And also, if Norristown ever looked into working with the trash company Whitetail ever before. Much better service, more and better trucks, cheaper company costs, and way better service to use. They would love to help take care of Norristown's trash removal. Also, would like to ask about the possibility of bringing back the town watch, but have them work close with the township to help curb the crimes that have been on a rise. I think it would help the community to talk to one another again, so we know our neighbors and we can help get this town back up and running like it used to be. If these concerns are okay to ask, I will join tonight and talk on this session. Okay, she could do that. It's Jamie Murray of 1341 Markley Street. Okay, and the other one, I wanted to propose the idea of building a skate park at this location. He's talking about Arch Street and East Johnson Highway, due to the large plot of land that it offers. Here is a story and some other reasons why I want to move forward with such a cause. My name is Steve Connerton, and I have been a local resident living on Dartmouth Drive for the last 12 years. I'm also a very small business owner of about 10 years. I say this because I see potential in a number of areas of how a skate park is a lucrative opportunity for state and borough money and interested investors. My background is in marketing, web design, and development, to put it simply. So not only do I want to contribute my personal efforts into building the skate park, but I can market it, build the website, and maintain all the efforts as well. Skateboarding has done such good in my life, and I still skate at the ripe age of 38 and will continue until I can't anymore. This is my way of giving back, not only to skateboarding, but to my community. This is one of the ways that I can do just that. Since I have the boring and sappy stuff out of the way, I'd like to give an analysis of the current situation. As mentioned, living in Norristown and owning a business, I take notice of the businesses that thrive and the ones that don't. I think we can all agree that the neighboring strip of storefronts is struggling greatly. Certain storefronts, painting with a twist store, for example, never even reopened as a new business due to what I guess is poor location. A skate park would bring in hundreds of skateboarders a day that would frequent the local shops like Joe's Water Ice and Eve's Zeps. These are the businesses that clearly dominate that terrain. And to be honest, I don't know that any other businesses are even open in that strip, let alone thriving. A skate park can alleviate some of the shortcomings of the location by the pure numbers aforementioned. Additionally, it will add the need for new businesses like a skate shop. Phase 2, I'd like to own the skate shop. Money will be raised for this or donated by myself, and a clothing storefront. If you're unaware, skateboarding is more than a sport. It is a culture and a way of life that it has been embraced by the likes of celebrities Jack Black, Owen Wilson, and hip hoppers as well. Wu-Tang Clan, Del the Funky, Homo Sapien. This is a booming opportunity to say the least, and I know how to market to that. Another point that is extremely important to make is the poor condition of this corner. I have been disgusted over the years at some of the trash that I have come across. This includes underwear, condoms, trash, debris, among other disgusting and hygienically unsafe items, to say the least. At a minimum, the ongoing cleaning of this corner needs to happen. If I get what I want, that happens, and we build a skate park for this great community we call home. At the moment, my only concern is if the property is currently under someone's ownership and how to proceed. I want to start to get petitions for this, but not until I know that the council is on board with such an effort. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Steve Connerton. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Kev, Public Information Officer, can you please make sure that those questions are answered and any information that we have be put out on our website to those people in regards to that stuff, please. The next thing that we have here is the municipal administrator in regards to the authorization of the advertising ordinance for potential municipal sword sale.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have before you, Council, a motion to authorize the advertisement of Ordinance 20-11, which is related to the potential sale of the municipality of Norristown's sanitary sewer system to Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater Incorporated for a bid price of $82 million. As council knows, we have gone through a process over the last almost 3 years now of investigation, discussion, not only from staff, but from a number of professional consultants involved. There has been support and conversation, I will say good conversation and support from the sewer authority in terms of meeting with not only council, meeting with myself and the staff, meeting with the team. The sewer authority also was involved in and voted on the approval to advertise the sale of the sewer authority, advertise the bids for the sale of the sewer authority. So they were part of that process and have been very supportive in terms of going through the process of the analysis of the system in preparation of the bid advertisements and the documents that were needed to do so. So at this point, the first, now that and I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure that it's been known, we've had 2 public meetings thus far, one informational, the other one was last week, in which we had feedback and discussion from participants in the meeting. We shared that information with council. We posted the questions on the website, and we are going, the comments, and there were some questions on the website. As with the previous meeting, and we got questions after that meeting, we posted both the questions and the answers on that. So we're forwarding this round of questions and comments to our consultants. We'll work with them, and we're going to put those answers up and responses to those comments from the last meeting. The next public meeting is scheduled for June 9th at 6 p.m. and it will be an online meeting as well. So this request tonight is to actually advertise the ordinance for the sale, and at that point it would be advertised through the next meeting, until the next meeting, at which time council can make a determination as to whether or not they want to approve the ordinance for the sale of the authority.
Okay, council, any questions or concerns? Okay, seeing none. Can I have a motion to advertise ordinance 20-11 for council's consideration at its June 16th council workshop for the potential sale of the municipality of Norristown sanitary sewer system to Aqua Pennsylvania Waterways Incorporated for $82 million?
Salute.
Second.
All right, there's a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, motion to advertise ordinance 20-11 goes through. Something I'm really excited about is this next discussion. Mr. Jones, can you take it, please?
Certainly. So council, this next item is really a presentation from and a council discussion about the it's from the Norristown Experience Commission, and they'll define that, which is a subgroup of the Norristown Chamber of Commerce. As you know, we have been involved from the inception of the chamber itself. And we have been working now, gosh, I guess probably 2 years, and I think the president of the chamber, Kim Ramsey, will shed some light on that. But we've been in discussions really about the whole issue, and it started with a conversation between Kim and I 3 or 4 years ago about connecting Norristown-based businesses civically with the council and the community, and the council having a voice that they can hear from businesses that reside in Norristown, do business in Norristown, hire Norristown residents. And that discussion has evolved over the last couple of years with an excellent group of Norristown business professionals that you all know. who've spent a lot of time and energy putting together in consultation with us as the staff. I know they started discussions with former council president Sonia Sanders was brought into the discussion about a year or so ago. Council President Perry met with us a few months ago and was brought up to speed on the work that had been going on for the last couple of years in terms of moving this effort forward. And we think that with a lot of input from both the businesses, from those two council presidents, certainly from James Massonnier on our staff, myself, excuse me, we're ready to have a really, really good discussion, I think, and a presentation about establishing a real lasting and meaningful relationship between the Norristown business community and the council. So with that, I will turn it over to the president of the Norristown Chamber of Commerce, Kim Ramsey.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you, President Perry and council members and those who were present. And we really appreciate the time that you're allowing us to have tonight, given the challenging situations and state of affairs of our nation right now. As Mr. Jones said, I am Kim Ramsey. I'm the owner of Rick and Kim LLC, the Willow School here in Norristown, a Star Force School of Early Learning Education. And I've been here in Norristown for almost 10 years as a business owner. I'm also the founder and president of Norristown Chamber of Commerce. And actually, it was 3 years ago, July 7th, 2017, that I came before you with some committed members within the community, business and community leaders, to present and obtain council's support and approval of our newly formed Norristown Chamber of Commerce. And you did, and you have supported us tremendously. Tonight, we are before you once again to ask for your continued support and commitment and to formalizing a public and private partnership of which Bill Corbett, one of the founding members, will present shortly. I just want to also just give some history. In the last 3 years, we have collectively and collaboratively made major strides and impact in our community, both business and civic. So much so that the chamber has been sought after, and we are represented in small business forums. We are asked to be on the southeastern region of chambers. The commissioners, the senators, local leaders, and even the governor has sought the Norristown Chamber of Commerce for our input, especially as COVID-19 hit and how it has tragically impacted our businesses and our community. Most recently, we've been asked to form a Chamber of Commerce specifically for Montgomery County. It will be a collaboration of just chambers within Montgomery County. So there is a collective place for more representation of us collectively in Montgomery County. However, this is the first time that Norristown is and will be represented at these forums and in partnership with this alliance. So tonight, this specific group is a subset of our Chamber of Commerce, and this group has been active, as Mr. Jones has pointed out. We have met with several stakeholders within Norristown and in the greater community here, trying to put together and making sure that there's commitment for an extraordinary Norristown. This is to ensure that our economic and business development and community is really reflected in the diverse and uniqueness of our community. So I'm gonna pass it along to Bill Corbett, who's the owner of Bill Corbett Inc. And many of you know him and has been a champion of Norristown and our efforts along the way. He'll present our goals for this subset of the Chamber of Commerce, what we're working towards. And we, again, want the collaboration of our business and our community for the betterment of Norristown. So I'll turn it over to Bill. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Kim, and certainly a huge pleasure and an excitement here tonight to be able to address everyone about our exciting mission here. As Kim mentioned, it's basically a subsidiary of the Chamber of Commerce, and it was created sort of out of a lot of discussion about what we could do to help support the municipality in all of our goals and aspirations to make Norristown the absolute best place to be. And we are very passionate about that, and the members of the committee are long and true supporters of Norristown, and we all have these great dreams and visions about where we could go with this wonderful community. So that said, as was already explained a little bit by Kim, we're just a subsidiary of the Chamber of Commerce, but we meet often with one specific purpose, and that is how do we best redefine our community? How do we best redefine the community as it relates to the business and economic efforts, as well as how it relates to bringing everyone up together to make Norristown a place to be? So again, our plan for the future as it relates to the business side as well as the community side, we believe is well documented, and we're going to look forward to talking to you a little bit about that this evening. So if we could go to the next slide, specifically our goals, as I mentioned, is all about helping the community, helping the municipality, the administration, and all involved redefine the Norristown experience. And we sort of centered in on this whole experiential mindset as a group, which is where the name comes from, our Experience Commission. And we feel that we can look at every aspect of what Norristown represents to the outsiders that come in from out of town and those that live here in the community. So how do we help redefine that and put a focus on that? We want to encompass all of Norristown. I think the key thing is, a few years ago, we were involved with some things as it related to a council, and I'm talking over 20 years ago, and I think our business focus lost sight of the fact that we're part of a major and more holistic community. And I think one of the things that we want to emphasize tonight to everyone listening is that our group is very focused on all aspects, both the community as well as the economic piece. We want to create more reasons, make Norristown a destination. How do we work collectively and together as business people, as a community, as administrators, as council folks, to do the things that we need to do as quickly as possible to make the turn that that we see is really underway as we speak. Things like creating these destinations like the Soma district in the northwestern part of town, or the Norristown Hill Arts Hill District, or this dream that we have of creating a tech center, whether it's at the Norristown Hospital grounds or somewhere out more near where we are in the sort of western corridor. But again, how does that partnership grow, and how do we work best together? This is really the whole mix of what we're about. So next slide is just, Kim covered quite a few things around our impact, and we believe this is just a beginning. We feel we can have a tremendous partnership with Norristown, with the municipality, and the leaders of the municipality, which are all those of you here this evening. So again, from the Riverfront festivals to the 4th of July celebration, which we helped turbo up, to things we're doing right now to try to help Norristown's graduating seniors, who quite frankly got a little bit of a raw deal, unfortunately, with the pandemic that's underway. What can we do to help there? On the business side, formulating this little group, we call us the Lucky Seven of us that really take an interest in working hard to figure out ways, again, to redefine how we can make Norristown a much better place from both inside and outside. We've been participating in the Southwest Chamber of Commerce group as well, organized a task force to assist with the discussions and keeping things in play with the amusement tax. And again, just having a great communication with the municipality and the constituencies involved. So again, we've got a little track record there. We obviously hope to grow and build on that. So what's our plan? Next slide, please, Kevin. Okay. First off, we want to really, what we say often in our meetings is, who wakes up every day? Who wakes up every day worrying about how we want to help transform and guide this idea of a subset or a group called the Experience Commission? So we want to hire a chief experience officer that wakes up every day with one focus in mind. And that's, how do we start really pushing and driving? And you can see some of the qualities that we will outlay later in terms of who this person is, really defines that level of aggressiveness and professionalism and ability to communicate and all the things that are required to be a leader, to be a connector of people and jobs and businesses. Things like, we need a complete inventory, which, Jane Masanya has helped us with this, and how can we create a more exciting list of what's available to develop, talk to people that are just sitting on properties that might need development. How do we get the owners involved and give them a sense of where we're headed and why they need to participate, and put some what I call positive pressure on those types of situations. But more importantly, just initiate these discussions with all of the key people that will help us sort of drive the momentum. And at the end of all of this, come out with something we look back on 3 to 5 years and say, this thing is really, really making some great progress. So specifically, our Chief Experience Officer, next slide, please, Kevin. And we feel this is important. You sort of hear it in our meetings, when you sit and have participated in, which a lot of you have. Hopefully, if there's one thing that comes out of those meetings, it's understanding our very sincere level of passion. And what I like most about this group is that there is not one element of what's in it for us. We recognize that all ships rise together, and we want this chief experience officer that we come up with to represent that in everything that they do. So again, a driver personality, a great work ethic, high energy, understanding the drive of how you work with political factions, private factions, and all of those in the community. Ability to navigate bureaucracy. You know, I think what I've noticed in the last 41 years that I've been here, the bureaucracy that we used to experience is gone. And to the council's credit, to the municipality's credit, we've never seen a better working connection point with the business community. And that's what drives our excitement. We need a chief experience officer that's going to work well and be visible like we unfortunately can't be every day. The technological side of this is very important now. As we know, a lot of times we can represent who we are through the diverse ways that we can communicate out into the universe. I'd like to echo Mr. Jones's comments earlier. If there's one thing I am most proud of is Norristown has been a leading example of how we deal with these current crises that we're facing with what's been going on. And in my opinion, Norristown should be a beacon of all to look at and see how well we have behaved our ways through the productive side of what we can do to make our community better and have awareness of these tragedies that have occurred. So the technological part, to get that vision out on the street so that people see us through initially the digital eye and we attract them to the facilities and the places that we hope to build. A phenomenal liaison. In our perfect world, this person will become a very deep connection point with the council, with the administration, with the community, and with the business community specifically. We've outlined, as you can see in the presentation, a salary range, but the most important thing we want everyone to hear is that we expect to raise that money and work hard together to drive the types of revenues we require to fulfill this position with an ace player. And obviously we would want the municipalities and the council's assistance there to make sure we're all in sync with that, who that person would be. If we could go to the next slide, please. So basically it boils down to one simple thing. We hope for those of you that had a chance to interact with us and that have met us, you see the sincerity of what we're trying to achieve. Again, no hidden agendas, just straight up, we want this town to be as good as we know it can be. We think it's pretty darn good already, but we've got a ways to go to even put it at the top of the pile, which I know we can do. So our hope is that the council will recognize our group, the Norristown Experience Commission, as a valid partner, one that goes arm in arm, hand in hand with the things that you're doing as it relates to the economics or community events. And you see us as a real value and validate us accordingly by helping us work together to create a memo of understanding that legitimizes what we are trying to do to support all of our efforts together. So that's our ask, that's our hope. We thank you so much for the time this evening to express our excitement, our passion, and our enthusiasm for where we hopefully can go together, and let Norristown continue to be the beacon, not just to the Pennsylvania area and around here, but why not the entire country? We got a lot of good things going on here. We're hopeful that you will join arms with us and let us work together to take this to the total next level. So for that, we all thank you for your time and welcome future conversations and thoughts around this idea.
Thank you. Appreciate the that presentation. Council, are there any questions?
I don't have a question.
Councilwoman Lewis, go ahead. Sorry.
I just have a comment. I want to thank Kim and Mr. Corbett for their enthusiasm. Not only I've worked with both of them over several years now, and they have been nothing but champions for Norristown and the economic growth and the development. So I just want to say how grateful I am and how honored we are to have you in our community and being champions for Norristown, because things are turning and it's taken all of us. I mean, we're seeing with the protests and we're seeing how communities are coming together. All of us are coming together. We can't do this by ourselves. We all have our lanes. We all have our areas of expertise and passions, and we are just like gelling and vibing, and I'm loving it. And I thank you all for your support of the Norristown Area High School graduation project. We are going to be such a blessing to those graduates in the next couple weeks. And I just thank you. We couldn't have done it without your help. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for your commitment. You guys are putting your money and your time and your energy where your mouth is, and you're making it happen. And I just want to, give you all the kudos and claps and high fives and all that stuff because you deserve it.
Now you're getting me all fired up. I don't know if I'll be able to get to sleep tonight.
But you guys are making it happen. I mean, what you say, you do, and it comes to fruition. So I'm with you. I'm with you.
Thank you, Heather.
Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Smith.
I was going to say something very similar, so I feel like I could just say ditto to Heather and it'd be okay. But I just thank you for your presentation and your excitement. Every time I feel like we work with the Chamber of Commerce, I'm just so filled with hope for our future. And I just think that Norristown is really lucky and honored. Honestly, I'm awed by how we have so many small businesses that are so committed to being good community partners and neighbors. So I just want to thank you for that, and ditto to everything Heather said.
Councilman Jones.
Thank you.
Hey, ditto everything that my first two colleagues said, but I just was more curious on how this group, you guys are more stronger dynamic business leaders in Norristown. How will we continue to work with planning and zoning to share projects, share developers? How will you plan on going forward to bring your resources together?
If I can respond to that first, council member, one of the things we're asking you all to do tonight, if you're supportive of this, is we're going to drop a specific memorandum of agreement that said that you would come back and once we've gotten it reviewed by the solicitor, et cetera, you come back and endorse that memorandum. That memorandum is going to spell out a number of ways that we will collaborate. One of the things certainly has to do with utilizing the expertise of the business community for policy development and having that voice for policy development when you're considering policies that the council wants to pass. We never had an official group in Norristown a business group in Norristown where you could get that impact, a la what happened with the amusement tax discussion. This would be that go-to group of you saying, the businesses in Norristown are represented, you want to hear their voice. One of the things that we've done, I've certainly done in my experience as a manager around economic development, one of the biggest tools you have and one of the best tools you have when you're talking about recruiting new business, new industry to the community is actually letting them and having a mechanism for them to connect with existing business to talk about that relationship between it. Now, sometimes when it comes to developers, they want to remain secretive to everybody except to the staff that's involved. But to the extent that we can have, we can bring other businesses with us to recruit businesses, and part of that is talking about what's your relationship with the community? How does the community serve you in planning and zoning and codes and public works? How does the council behave to you as a business? These are the things that help that. One of the other things that certainly in terms of as we look at projects that we have on the table, having that voice of businesses in the community, not only to do part of that business with us, for instance, with the City Hall project that we're doing, renovation of the project, we were able to because of the Co-Stars program. Council's desire was that we want a Norristown firm that's going to be the firm that furnishes the furniture and furnishings for that project. Bill Corbett is on that team. That firm is a Norristown firm that's doing business on that team. So finding opportunities where we can to make sure that the businesses who are engaged with Norristown are actually having an opportunity to do business. One of the other things that's super important is that as we're going on mission trips as we have whether it's to the county commissioners, whether it's to the state legislature or state agencies, whether it's to the federal government, as we have, having that business voice, and these folks have committed to, we will go with you. We will talk about the business perspective of what it is council wants to promote to make that case stronger. Some grant partnership opportunities for private-public engagement are strengthened when you have a relationship like an MOU with a group of local businesses. That strengthens your application in the competition for resources as well. So a lot of that stuff is going to be spelled out in that MOU if you agree and authorize us to draft an MOU to bring back to you. But it's going to connect us in a lot of ways that I think Norristown has not had the advantage of some other communities that have strong local business engagement and partnerships with.
Councilwoman Scott Cooper, I see you there, and Councilwoman Sanders, I see you also.
Am I next?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank the Norristown Chamber for your innovative ideas. This is great. I think that we are going to be on the cusp of something happening for the entire county, and I do appreciate your innovative ideas. This is going to move Norristown forward. This is going to put Norristown more on the map, and I so greatly appreciate all of your team, Kim, for coming together with this wonderful idea. I'm not going to go on any further because I think everyone else has said it all, but I just wanted to express how I feel. I think it is wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Sanders. Councilwoman Sanders, are you there? I seen you turn green. I guess not. Councilman LaPera, anything?
Hey, this is Councilwoman Sanders.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I'm waiting for you. Yep, I can hear you now.
I'm sorry about the delay, everyone. So when I first met with the President, Kim Ramsey, and Mr. Jones, and I heard about this wonderful opportunity, I actually thought it was too good to be true. So I didn't want to share any details at the time with the remainder of council until they had an opportunity to actually put the meat and potatoes together to make this come to fruition. So again, I thank all of the business owners for their vested interest in Norristown. It's a great opportunity, and on behalf of council, we just thank you for investing in us.
Councilman LaPera.
Yes, I just wanted to say this is great, utilizing the resources in our backyard. It's all good stuff. Thanks.
And I'll just say once again, I'm loving this from a community standpoint that we finally get to all talk and be one as a private-public partnership. And it's long overdue, but we're here. We're moving Norristown forward, and that's what it's about. Mr. Husky and Mr. Zone is also part of the board, and what's the chef? I can't remember his name.
Keith Taylor.
Yeah, Keith Taylor was also in the meeting also, and let's just say as much as they know that council was on board and wowed by what we were talking about, I was wowed by what they were also talking about. So this is an exciting time for Norristown, and can't wait anymore for where we need to go. So with that being said, council, can we have a motion to authorize the municipal administrator to work with the Norristown Chamber to draft a memorandum of understanding with the Norristown Chamber to formalize a public-private partnership for economic development and civic engagement?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Seeing none, Mr. Administrator, Please work on that. We appreciate you. And we appreciate you, Norristown Chamber. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. We appreciate you
Thank
all
you very
too.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. The next up is Mr. Singh in regards to building code effectiveness grading schedule. We don't know what that means, but you'll tell us.
Unmute, Amrinder.
Yeah, unmute yourself too. There you go.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you now.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. So I'm excited to share that our hard work is paying off. Our building code effectiveness grade schedule, in short called BSEGS, which is completed by ISO, pretty much what that entails is the score that our community receives. That is a score that many insurance companies that do property insurance, that's a score that they use for the community to see what type of policy and what type of premium pretty much is going to be paid by the property owners in that community. So the stronger your building codes are, the higher your classification will be, and in return, your insurance premiums may be much lower than what they would normally be if you don't have a strong code enforcement program. So when our previous assessment was performed back in 2012, Norristown had earned a grading of Class 5 for residential buildings and a Class 4 for commercial and industrial buildings. We just had our new assessment done back on November 21st of 2019, and after that assessment was completed, our classification in Norristown was actually upgraded. We are now a Class 3 community for residential buildings and a Class 2 for commercial and industrial buildings. So we went up by 2 classifications in each category. The report that I attached, it's about 48 pages. There's a lot of stuff on there. I'm not going to go over all of it, but as you guys will be able to go through the report, you'll see that our operations actually ranked higher than most municipalities, not just in Montgomery County itself, but actually across the entire Commonwealth and even across the nation in a lot of the areas. So the report, the metrics, they actually break it down by the county, the state, and nationwide. So the benchmarking areas where we scored lower are due to restrictions that are put on Norristown by the state. So for example, we have to use the 2015 edition of the high codes here in Norristown, along with almost 99% of all the other municipalities in the state, whereas Philadelphia, being a first-class city, they're able to use the 2018 edition. So they have a stronger, newer building code, so their score may be a little bit higher than ours. So on average, in 2019 in Pennsylvania, a commercial score for the average community was a 62, and we received a score of 86.51. And for residential, the average score in Pennsylvania was a 56, and Norristown received a 77.91. And the reason why we scored in the 70s in the residential is because, once again, at the state level, our building codes, unfortunately, I have to say it that way, they're a little bit watered down because they took out things, important things such as fire sprinklers in residential buildings. That's why we scored in the 70s. Had we had fire sprinklers in Norristown, that would significantly increase our score for residential properties. I also, I also attached the actual 2019 national report for all of the states. That way council can view it at any time to kind of get an idea of where the other states are nationwide, where Pennsylvania is, and then more specific, where Norristown stands. But among the state jurisdictions, we are actually in the top. Only 3.9% of other jurisdictions ranked a Class 2 for commercial, and only 4.4 other jurisdictions ranked a Class 3. So we are in the top 5% in Pennsylvania, community-wise. And this classification, once again, this upgrade is going to help property owners save money at the end of the day. So any property that was issued a certificate of occupancy back in 2019, they're possibly going to see much lower insurance premium for their properties, and then any new properties that are being built, 2019 and forward, they're also going to be seeing a lot of savings in their insurance premiums. So this ISO classification upgrade, along with our code enforcement program accreditation, are kind of the two big achievements that we had for 2019. And on top of all of our increased operations for rental inspections and proactive enforcement. And for the remainder of 2020, we're going to concentrate on getting our IAS building department accreditation and also work with FEMA to become a CRS community. That way, properties that are located in the flood zone, they can see a significant reduction in their insurance policies as well. Because we do have a significant number of properties that are under flood zone, so we want to be able to help those property owners see some relief in their insurance premiums. So I'm definitely going to keep everyone posted with our progress. And I just want to take this time to thank Mr. Jones and all of Municipal Council for all of the support that you guys have given us over this past year and a half, 2 years, to be able to get to the point we are today. And I just wanted to kind of briefly share all of this with you, and I hope you guys get a chance to read the entire report and see how good of a job your building department is doing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh. I'm going to say Councilwoman Smith, do you have a question or comment?
I've got a comment. Just thank you, Mr. Singh, for you and your whole department for all your hard work, jumping up and over 2 scores. And it's fantastic that could translate to real actual savings for people here. So thank you, and to your whole team.
Any other comments? Councilman Jones.
Hey, Mr. Singh, thanks for the report. Also, thank you for all the work you've been doing. You've brought a lot of structure to the code department. You've brought real statistics and real numbers to how many inspections we're doing and all the things that some things weren't taken care of in the past. One concern that I do have, I get phone calls from time to time. We are very thorough with getting letters and notices out. Not everybody reads as they should, and sometimes people misunderstand a warning versus a fine. So, maybe from time to time or quarterly, we can kind of get something out. I know we're going from a red phase to a yellow phase. Some of these warnings will be enforced soon, so maybe we can get some type of communication out to ensure the public that yes, we do need to do our job. However, these are things that need to be done.
You gotta unmute your phone, Mr. Singh. There you go.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. I can share. I was going to do an update on the warning letters that we've been sending out during the department reports. I can do it then, or I can make a comment now. However you guys wish for me to move forward.
You know what? We all been getting the calls and the emails, and it would be great to go ahead and just get that out of the way right now to understand that those dynamics of it.
Sure. So I appreciate you sharing that, Councilman Jones, and you're absolutely correct. A lot of times the property owners are actually not reading the letters we're sending out, and we're getting a lot of frantic calls from property owners that I just received a citation or a fine, and it's not a citation, it's not a fine. On top of the letter, it literally says warning notice, warning letter, I apologize. And all we're trying to do is educate the property owners where they may have exterior property violations, such as, chipping paint, their address numbers may be missing, which is a public safety matter for police and fire to be able to identify the property. If their sidewalk is in disrepair, if, gutter is downspout, pretty much we're actually going, like we did last year in 2019, we're going building by building, lot by lot, block by block, and the exterior of every property is being inspected to make sure that it's in compliance with our municipal codes. And so far, we've actually, we started doing this back in May 4th after pretty much construction was given the green light. And so far, we've inspected a little over 4,800 properties out of the 10,000 that we have. And I agree with you. We can definitely do a better job with the wording on the letters. And if it's okay with council and Mr. Jones, what we can do is send a follow-up one-page letter that makes it clear to every property owner that has so far received a letter that is just a warning letter. There's no citation, there's no fine. We're just trying to educate you that this is what's wrong at your property, and we hope that you will fix it. If you need additional time to correct whatever issue was found at your property, we're going to work with everybody. Our intentions are not to issue a citation on the 61st day of that violation notice being issued. We're obviously going to work with every property owner. We understand these are challenging times currently, and our goal is not to fine or cite people. It's just to let people know what they need to do to repair their property. So we can definitely send a follow-up letter to all of the property owners that did receive a letter so far, and then moving forward, we can change and add some more wording to that letter, and hope that people will actually read it. But anyone that has been calling us, after they call us and we explain what we're doing, they're a lot more calmer, they understand and they get it. It's just that I think some of my team members also shared with me some, social media posts and stuff like that, but they're using the wrong terminology, which is getting everyone kind of worked up. Unfortunately, pretty much what's going on with that, and whatever directions Mr. Jones and council gives, we'll definitely move forward with that to make sure there's no future confusion like this.
So just to comment on that, and council, please shake your head or say yes or no in regards to this. Council does want you to please change the wording in that. People think that we're going to be tyrants during this pandemic when in actuality, this council has been very, very lenient in some of the stuff while people work at home. And we just don't want people to, get a headache or get upset in regards to a lot of the stuff. You have talked about this before, and so let's just try to reiterate it and write a new letter to the people that, we're not holding people's feet to the fire doing something like this. And we will continue to not do that until we know that the pandemic is over. So now we have that on record so everybody knows that that's what we're all thinking correctly. Am I correct on that, council? I don't want to speak for everybody. Okay. Thank
Agreed.
you. All right. Thank you for that report, Mr. Sting, for doing a great job and trying to change our code enforcement around and getting our insurance lowered, and we can't wait for more to come. And I know, you've had many conversations with all of the council people to get some other stuff done. So thank you again. Thank you to the department for what you guys do, and keep on doing the good work, even though people don't see it, but we definitely appreciate it. Chief Talbot, can you bring us forward to resolution number 20-43, please? Where'd he go?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm waiting for you, Chief.
Okay. 1 second here. Okay. Resolution 2043 is a motion for council to remove a disabled parking space. The location is 1002 Arch Street. The resident at that location is no longer in need of that designated space. Thank you.
Council, any questions? Okay, seeing none, can we have a motion to request the removal of a handicap parking space at the following location, which is 1002 Arch Street?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Valerie Scott Cooper,
Go ahead, Madam Secretary, you can go on.
Hakeem Jones,
Aye.
Sonia Sanders,
Aye.
Heather Lewis,
Aye.
Thomas LaPera,
Aye.
Rebecca Smith,
Aye.
Derek Perry.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Valerie
Resolution
Cooper, aye. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
20-43 passed. Thank you. Chief, resolution 20-44, please.
Yes, sir. Resolution 2044 is a motion to approve or deny an annual payment for our records management system. The total amount is $23,858.36. We've had this records management system in place since 2006. Our current contract was signed with the approval of council in 2019. It's 3 years in length. The ending date is 2021, so this is a payment that we have budgeted for your approval.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions? Okay, seeing none. Can we have a motion to maintain the police department's record management system by improving the annual payment of $23,858.36?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, can we have roll call, please?
Valerie Scott Cooper,
Aye.
Okay, there you go.
Hakeem Jones,
Aye.
Sonia Sanders, Heather Lewis. I can't
Aye.
hear anybody now.
Aye. You hear me?
Okay, Heather Lewis.
Both,
Yes.
both ayes
Thank you.
by
Thomas
Councilwoman
LaPara?
Sanders.
Aye.
Yes, got it. Rebecca Smith,
Aye.
Derek Perry.
Aye, the ayes have it. Resolution 20-44 passes. Police department report. Hey, Chief, the hardest working man in the building, keeping everything great. Along with Sheriff Kilkenny, we got to give you your props. We appreciate that collaboration. You look like you in the dark and ready to just go to sleep. So please give us a report, please.
I had some iced coffee, Mr. President, so I'm awake. There we go.
Okay. It seems like it would make more sense to talk about current issues than what happened over the last month. You know, everything's changed over the last week or so, couple of weeks. Just to give everybody a sense of what we've been dealing with, I think I've attended one protest or another every day since Saturday. So we've been pretty steady with the protest. It's almost exclusively been peaceful. The worst thing so far that we've dealt with in terms of lawful protesting, you know, people who want to block traffic and block sidewalks, that sort of thing. Nothing that I consider a problem at all. Everybody's treated us well. The cops have behaved beautifully. I couldn't be more proud of some of the things I've seen from the police officers. This is a super tough time, especially when you consider on the heels of the pandemic, which, you know, it seems like a lot of people forget. Everybody was already stressed out. And then, you know, George Floyd incident comes along and just raises the intensity that much higher. I did a press release about the arrest the other night, Mr. Andre Livingston, which was just a tremendous act of restraint by those police officers involved. Crandall and I were talking about it. We both agreed. You know, I don't think the level of restraint that they showed in that case is just phenomenal. I mean, for a guy who grabbed a gun, who was able to get a taser away, who spit on some cops, who knocked down a female officer, injuring her. She's still off from work, broke a detective's hand, and he ends up getting committed to prison without any injuries whatsoever. So, I think it's important to sort of look and see that it's really easy to lose sight of the vast majority of policing tends to work like that. But also to take a minute to recognize things are different in our police department, and it's not a subtle difference. It's a dramatic difference. So thank you, Sheriff, for the help you gave us today. Cat's messing with me here. We had other police officers that came to support us for the protest because we were expecting so many people. And one of the things that I subtly felt as I was sitting preparing for this was nervous, because other agencies don't train like we train. They don't have the same rules in place. They don't have the same discussions that we've had for several years. Everything that we do in terms of how we interact with the public is scripted. So what the officers are required to do when they go to a protest is all laid out for them. I brief them before each and every protest. I remind them that we're there for them. I read the First Amendment to them so that it's clear in their mind. I mean, it's very majestic language. I think it has a nice impact on them to remind them that our job is to secure the constitutional rights of the public. I also say to them that you go to a protest for the protesters. You're not there for each other. It's easy as a police officer to think you're there for other cops. And when you start to believe you are policing for other police officers, you behave in a way that's characteristic. You clump together, you start to laugh and joke and ignore everybody around you, rather than facing the people that you're trying to serve, having conversations. Part of the briefing points are when you're in a police car and you're just sitting there and you don't get out and engage with the people that are around you, it's going to be considered an aggressive act. So the public doesn't, and they never did. There's not this huge change in how the world looks at police officers. We're just recognizing it, and we're reaping the impact of failing to notice what actually works. So the cops know if you're in a car and you're near human beings, you got to get out, or you're going to be thought of as disengaged and aggressive and uncaring. And it's those kinds of briefing points or a leadership framework that makes a difference. Part of our strategy, two things really work on the minds of the police officers. One, the one thing you have to remember as it relates to interacting with the public is, I say it over and over again, treat people better than they expect to be treated. And that includes the Andre Livingstons of the world, who it's debatable on whether or not he deserves it, frankly, right? At some point, everybody gets a little tired of getting spit at and headbutt and all this other crazy stuff. But we also talk about true strength is when you show restraint. Anybody, and you say it to people that aren't trained, what would you do in these circumstances? Well, you would just beat the crap out of somebody because you get provoked and you respond. Strength is when you have the capacity to get your way with physical violence, and you intentionally, purposely refrain from doing that. And it's part of how we do business, and it's a drumbeat conversation over and over again. The chokehold is becoming a big issue in policing, as it should. And what's ironic is if you look back at all the way back to Rodney King, which seems so quaint today, in this day and age, that was a big issue back then. Our policy says if you're going to use a chokehold, you can only do so if deadly force would have otherwise been justified. So if you're going to lose your life, you're in some sort of mortal danger, and the only thing you have at your disposal is a chokehold, use the chokehold. That's the only thing that makes sense. If you ban a technique that ultimately somebody might be forced to use, you're just creating a policy that that lacks legitimacy that people start ignoring because what other holes are in your policy? It's like in my first police department, we had a policy that said that you can chase people, but you can't exceed the speed limit by more than 15 miles an hour. Well, that's a policy that you have in place that the cops start to recognize. Nobody even believes we're ever going to follow this policy. So we've been rigorous with those kinds of issues and making sure that we have a culture in which if I say it or somebody in the leadership team says it, we can stand behind it. It's going to be that way. We spent a lot of time in the after action with these protests, really evaluating how did we do? What is the social media activity? We purposely work that communication medium in a way where what people say online matters to me. It matters to my police department. You can't keep a secret in the United States of America anymore. You can't abuse people and people not find out about it. They will tell on you quickly. So the fact of whether or not you can do like you used to when I was a police officer, nobody found out who the crooked cops were other than the other cops. Now the public knows the names of the police officers. They know how we operate. They'll put videos online. You can't hide like you used to be able to hide. And it's also important to use social media as a leadership tool. I'll look on there and see what are people saying about the police officer. What did they say about that interaction? Were they unhappy with it? Now you know, there's this thing people, early in my career, and still, the cops they'll say, well, who's going to be happy with you if you arrest them? The truth is, if you treat people fairly, they're not going to make stuff up. They're not just going to put stuff online and try to ruin your career because the internet is free. If somebody says that you did something online, I have this rule, that works both in policing and out. And the rule is, how do you deal with a violent person? If you have somebody that says that they're going to punch you in the face, you believe them. If you have somebody that says that this cop is dirty, you believe them. And you treat that information as feedback and you go after it. And what you find is that the people in general, even your Andre, this guy from the other night, people play fair and they will generally tell you the truth, and they will generally let you know what you need to pay attention to in terms of problematic employees, and you have an opportunity to do something about it. And the difference in some organizations is we just don't listen to them. People complain over and over again, and when they are not heard over and over again, they stop complaining, they lose trust. But you cannot stifle someone who wants to be heard. They'll just find another way to express themselves. We also spend a lot of time just managing the culture of the police department. I was talking to somebody today. This is completely different than it was when I was coming up through the ranks. When I was coming up through the ranks, you could walk around and you could say what a badass you were. You could talk about the takedowns and how you messed this dude up. That's what policing was like, vast majority of my career. If somebody walked around in the hallway of my building, or Crandall's building, walked around in the police department and they were talking about how bad they were, everybody would run for the hills. The other cops wouldn't even have that conversation because they'd be looking around for all hell to break loose. And it's not just it won't happen in my presence. It won't happen. It literally, you won't find somebody who thinks it's a great thing to be this super tough guy or tough girl. it's not popular. What's popular, what I send feedback out about, what we talk about is heroic acts of restraint and kindness and compassion. I was on the phone with the 94-year-old mother of this guy that we deal with over and over again with mental health problems. And in the midst of this conversation, she was telling me about how she was treated by one of my police officers who took an enormous amount of time to help this lady. Now it's you know, somebody's 94. I think most of us are compelled to what can I do for this lady? But what I'm talking about is a sort of cultural shift where, you know, you arrest you know, if there's this big arrest, you know, I might give you a little well done, but I'm going to give you, you're going to get a significant amount of praise if you remove suffering from somebody's life or you showed compassion. The captain just got this email from this guy who is not a fan of the police. And his Facebook post says, the captain of the police department called me over and said, "I'm proud of you," right? "I'm proud of you." He posted this on Facebook. And this is a guy who we've had some difficult interactions with. And it's and you use those kinds of stories and you make a big deal out of them. And what the result that you get is an organization that understands. That's how you get acknowledged. We had we had a in each one of these protests, you know, people are unhappy with the police right now, but they're unhappy with the police. They're not unhappy with Chief Talbot. They're not unhappy with, you know, Captain Clouser or Lieutenant Dillon or, you know, Officer Samuels. They're unhappy with this entity that is going on across the country. We operate in a way that's fundamentally different than the vast majority of police departments. And the cops know it, and they're proud of it. And we will continue to operate that way because now it's in our DNA to a certain degree. You can see it, you know, for yourselves when the officers are out in public. I think what happened to George Floyd is the sort of natural result of how most police departments are positioned. One of the things that I believe in policing, you want to change policing, don't hire anybody to be the police chief unless they understand race and how race impacts how one human being interacts with another. And you're never going to transform policing unless we start talking about that reality. If you're not fluent in these issues and you can't speak to what redlining did and restrictive covenants and the notion that some people can live in some neighborhoods and some can't, and how we zone some neighborhoods for strangers to come into contact with us, and other neighborhoods in which there will never be a stranger in your neighborhood unless somebody's paying them. Unless we start to talk about these issues, one, but also I think every police chief should understand the historical manifestation in a neighborhood of all these issues and what you need to do about it as police chief. Broken windows broke policing. It's you know, that metaphor, which in everybody's organization, and you know, I'll close on this. Everybody's organization has this sort of shorthand version of this complicated theory, right? And broken windows is infinitely complicated, but it became this really stupid arrest everybody in sight. The metaphor could have been, if you see a broken window, you look for a broken soul, right? You try to look for some place to offer kindness and compassion. Look for a neighborhood that needs turned around. And instead, it became a weapon that got used against communities. And I think you as a police chief, you've got to understand those issues. And if you don't, you're going to make a mistake that positions your police department in a way where you are fighting against the people that you're trying to serve. And that, you know, in essence, that's what we're doing differently. Very last point. I'm very hesitant. You know, you think about this. I'm very hesitant to use guys with guns and ladies with guns for things that don't require a human being who can kill you. And I think you got to keep that in mind. You know, some of the biggest tragedies come when, did you really need a guy with a gun? Or could some other professional or some other human being had a conversation? So I think the real changes are about a more thoughtful, a more historically accurate and sensitive approach to policing, and one in which all of your policies and practices are formed by a philosophy that you can actually talk about out loud, that doesn't embarrass anybody. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Chief. Appreciate that. Council, any questions or comments? Just gonna say we got the best police chief in the state of Pennsylvania. That's all I have to say. Keep up the good job, and tell our police officers that I already told you I'll be down there. And we'll talk, and I'll be prepared to thank them too. Definitely appreciate it. Councilwoman Lewis.
Yep. Appreciate you too, Chief. All the good work you do, all, you know, training your officers the right way. And I wish you can train all the officers across the country.
I believe that we will be a model pretty soon that will be beneficial to all police departments. Councilman Jones, go ahead.
Amen.
Well, I was just going to say he can train whoever he wants as long as he keeps that Norristown uniform on.
That is a fact. As soon as he leaves, we following him. We're gonna hold him hostage, put him in a basement or something, put him in a cell. Captain O'Donnell is in a fire at Upper Marion, so we wish him and his guys prayers over there, and everything is okay with him. And Mr. Singh, take us on home.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only other thing I wanted to share besides the warning letters that we've been sending out is that on May 19th, following the governor's directive, we did start doing property transfer inspections once again. Previously, we had suspended all of the property transfer inspections except for single-family owner-occupied properties only, but we are doing all of those inspections. And until further notice, we are going to continue suspending rental inspections at this time due to COVID-19 and the high number of cases we have here in Norristown. And the last 2 points I just wanted to share is that even though our permits have been down significantly from this time last year in April and May, I've been having numerous conversations with contractors and property owners who are planning to start getting back into making improvements to their buildings. So I look forward to applications and work continuing to happen here in Norristown. I think it's going to start picking back up by the middle of this month, if not by the end of the month. And the last item I have is in April, we concentrated significantly on training our team. We had a lot of work from office, work from home time, so we took advantage of that, and the department in total did over 270 different classes for stuff like customer service, how to de-escalate angry, constituents, and even safety training like OSHA and stuff like that. So we did utilize our downtime to train our team and also do a lot of cleaning up of old records, as well as following up on things that we were not usually able to follow up on. So April and May were pretty great months for the department, and I hope to share some great stuff with you guys at the end of June about all of the great things that are happening in codes. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Mr. President, you're muted to me. I don't know if anybody else can hear you.
Okay. Yep, I was muted. So, once again, just want to give kudos to staff for, keeping up the good work in Norristown. We're very proud of where we're at and where we're about to go. Tell all of your workers under you that we appreciate them at the end of the day. Everybody stays safe. It's a cold world out here right now, and we got an uphill battle of a lot of fights. And council and staff, I'm ready for the good fight to make us a lot better than where we were and where we're about to go. So let's all be ready for that. And that's it. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Nobody wants to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All right, everybody, stay safe. Stay safe out there. All right. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right.